there's going to be a reward. And what happens, the way behavior, any kind of behavior works, is any behavior that's followed by a positive event, the chances of it happening again increase.
Right.
And that's, it's that simple. And I think that's the hardest part to understand about neurofeedback, is that it's simply about reward, that it's totally safe, and that reward works.
And it's seamless and invisible, which is really fascinating.
And natural, so you don't have to work at getting your brain to work better. The way I put it is you don't have to grit your brain's teeth. You just have to be, your brain does all the learning, and things just work better.
That must be our brain calling right now.
I got that. Absolutely.
So what I really found fascinating, and what I love, is seeing Ben go in. You've got this catalog of pictures that he can choose whatever he wants to see. And so on this next slide, we've got a picture of trees and kind of an outdoor scene on the bottom right. But on the top left are what people begin to see as their brain waves are doing what they're supposed to do.
Right. So what they see initially is they see a blank screen. So picture it on the left, that screen on the left, without any little squares in it. And for every quarter of a second that the brain is doing what we ask, based on, we saw those squiggles a moment ago, the way we said it, there is a square that comes up. I call it a puzzle piece.
Yes.
And it's a piece of an image. So on the left, you can see this is a piece of that full image that's going to come up later on the right. So people like to sit and they like to guess where the next square is going to come up, or they like to try and guess what this is going to be. So that keeps them engaged. And then after, depends on the number and how old the child is or the adult or whatever, after, let's say, maybe about 10 of these squares, the full image comes up along with a ta-da. But every time a square comes up, there's also a sound.
So they get rewarded by that sound.
Sound and a change, a visual change.
Got it. And the ta-da is the major reward.
Is the major reward. And the brain accepts this as reward.
Do you know I can hear it? Isn't that funny? I know that sound. I know the sound when the whole puzzle comes to life because I've sat there with him.
Absolutely.
That's so funny.
And what's interesting is the brains like change. They like stimulation. I remember in freshman psychology, they had an experiment where they had, in those days, they had wooden mazes, and they had 2 wooden mazes, and they would run rats through the mazes, and these mazes were exactly alike except for one little thing. One of the mazes, had stripes, and the stripes were painted this way. And on the other maze, they had stripes, same size, painted this way.
Oh.
So, which maze do you think the rats ran faster in?
I'm guessing where they were continuous and went around, but...
No, exactly the opposite.
And how come?
Because from a rat's point of view, if the stripes are vertical, things change. And so they ran faster because they were being stimulated by the environment.
Interesting.
Brains like stimulation. And that's
Boy, I failed that one.
Everyone does. Everyone chooses the other one. It's the way people see things. But anyway, so the brain really likes stimulation. So that's one of the reasons that this works the way it does. We also have another screen that some of our people really, really like, and they get to see their own brainwaves, and they see sort of snippets. So they'll see a snippet for each location we're working on. And they also, so we can tell them, okay, we're trying to get your brainwaves to be small inside those lines, so they can kind of use their intention as well in a much more direct kind of way. And then when that location is doing what we want, there's a green disc that comes up. And when all the discs are full, ta-da! And some people really like that feedback screen as well.
And the other thing is they don't really have to do anything. The brain takes over to do what it needs to do.
Exactly.
So even if they weren't trying to make it appear or trying to do anything, the brain does its own work without feeling like it's work. I mean, sports training, by training your brain without pumping iron or, and I know
that. Well, this is pumping iron for the brain because we're literally creating new neuronal connections. And so we're making the brain more robust, except it's the easiest learning your brain will ever do. It's the easiest learning you'll ever do.
And so here's another example of the difference after training. And this is just showing one of those diagrams.
Yeah, one of those little circles. So the one on the left, that green dot, is the location itself. And the blue surrounding it is the rest of the brain. And what we're seeing with that dark blue is those are the areas where there is not good connection. And this is a frontal location, actually. And so it's extremely important that that location be in connection with the rest of the brain so it can do its coordination and control job. So on the right, what we see is this same location, and we can see a lot more of the other colors, light blue and green and even yellow. That tells us that this location is coordinating with much, much more of the brain.
Excellent. Excellent. That was very cool. So we're back now with Ben Richmond and Laura Richmond, who are clients of Dr. Ross. And so Laura, I was hoping that you could just tell a little bit about what brought you to Dr. Ross and how that worked for you and how you would describe the story and of your journey so far with Ben.
Well, at the time we got to Dr. Ross, we tried a lot of different things, and Ben had come a long way, but was still struggling a lot with tantrums and really not a lot of interest in socialization. Very noisy at times.
Eye contact.
Oh, eye contact was non-existent. That was the first thing that we noticed that really changed dramatically, which was wonderful.
And quickly.
After the second session, I was shocked. We were with friends, and all of a sudden he was looking right in my eyes, and his articulation, I noticed at that point also, was a little bit clearer.
Changing. And what else did you notice that's changed over time?
Well, the tantrums have been an incredible difference. Ben was saying in the car on the way over that he hasn't had a tantrum in school. He can't remember when the last time was that he had. Yeah, it's been like at least 6 weeks since there's been any incident at school at all. And the change in interest with peers has also been huge. That we went from he was upset about the idea of any contact with peers or anyone sitting next to him to really his playing with kids, which has been wonderful. Yeah.
And what have you noticed, babe?
I haven't had any temper tantrums. I've been having good days.
You've been having good days. Yeah. And what's it like doing, making the puzzle pieces come to life?
If I'm tired, it can be boring.
Sometimes it's boring?
Yeah.
And what else have you noticed about it? Like, if you knew some other kid who needed to go and retrain his brain, what would you tell him about it to help him get there?
Well, I would tell him use a GPS.
Use a GPS to find his way?
Yeah.
You're very funny. Now, one of the things about this child is that he's got a remarkable sense of humor. Okay, and how else would you help that person to have a good experience there, aside from using the GPS to find it?
Like, tell him, like, use the pictures and sit still, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, and maybe someday I'll improve your brain.
So you think your brain's improved?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a cool brain?
Yeah.
I think you have a very cool brain. It's like one of the favorite brains I've ever met in my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. And you're very cute about making eye contact today. So what we're going to do in a little bit is we're going to see Ben play piano, which he does an amazing job of. You're going to show us your piano playing ability?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yeah.
Am I sir?
Yeah, you are.
All right.
I say also Ben has never complained about, he looks forward to going to the Brain Place, and he's enjoyed the experience with the people there, even putting the things on. Yeah.
With the brain dude and the brain dudette. You're the brain dudette.
Exactly.
And he's the brain slave. Max the brain slave.
Max the brain slave.
And David's the 911 brain guy.
The 911 brain guy?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Well, I like 911.
No, that's true. You
brain
do
guy.
like 911. That's true. So, Dr. Ross, this has been really wonderful, and Laura and Ben, thank you for taking part in this little interview. How do people get in touch with you?
They can get on the internet. My internet site is retrainyourbrain.com.
Retrainyourbrain.com.
Yes.
It rhymes.
That's true.
It does. And then there are hyperlinks from there too. There's our phone number and there's email and so on.
Would you like to give your phone number?
781-444-9115.
781-444-9115.
Yes.
And that's without any training of my brain.
I know.
It's amazing.
You might as well jot that down.
So folks, jot that down if you're interested. So if there's an issue with ADD, ADHD, if there's an issue with autistic spectrum, if there's an issue with stroke, if there's an issue
Learning
with
disabilities.
learning disabilities, memory,
Yep.
Just about anything you
Developmental
can name.
delays,
developmental delays,
mood disorders, head injury.
bipolar,
Yep.
anxiety, depression, head injuries.
Yeah. If it's on the brain,
it's-
then we can probably help.
If it's on the brain, you could get it off their mind.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, you
very
can probably
nice,
do
very
just about
nice.
anything.
So thank you, everybody, and we hope you come back to another session with Web Business Diva and Dr. Ross. Thank you very much, and Laura and Ben. Again, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Just want to let you know also that Ben's focus in his practice has gotten so much better since he's doing the neurofeedback. His ability to work with his teacher and take criticism and work with it has gotten incredibly better. And he's also, the social piece I was talking about, he's willing to be part of a class, so he's learning theory, and he's
Fantastic.
part of give and take that way, yeah.
I'm not learning theory. I basically know all of it.
What did he just say?
He said he's not learning theory, he knows all of it.
Our next generation, here it is. Thank you so much. And Ben, thank you very, very much. That was really wonderful.
You're welcome.